Good afternoon, everyone. I am making another video for Richard. It's something that I've really get a great deal of comfort of talking about him and reflecting on things and reflecting on spiritual uh, ideas uh, and spiritual connections with him. And today I was thinking about my mom's house, and to this day, she passed away February 2024, and the house was transferred into my name. But whenever I talk about it, the house, I never refer to it as my house. When I talk to the neighbors there that have been helping me, they keep a watch for me on that house and just look it over and make sure everything's okay with it, because I'm not selling it yet. The market is just so bad in Tennessee. If you could take that house and plop it on the ranch here, that house would be worth $1.5 million. But in Tennessee, the way the market is right now, it's the value of it is just it's just not worth trying to sell. Let's just put it that way. But that's not my point. My point that I wanted to talk about is my neighbors check it out, and I have a friend who helped my mom, and she checks it out. And whenever I refer to the house, I always, in text and emails to them, I always refer to it as my mom's house. I just do. I can't, it's in my name, it's my house, but it's not, I don't ever like to refer to it as my house. I will always, out of respect, call it my mom's house. Whenever I talk to my neighbors about it, I said, can you check my mom's house on da 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 da? I've never referred to it as, can you check my house? And the reason for that is, out of respect, just like Richard, how he built this ranch from the bottom up, and with a great deal of work and effort and creative thinking. In the same way, my mom and her husband, they found that land in Tennessee, and it was around it was just about it's interesting because there's a correlation. They were building their house at the same time that Richard was building our cabin, around 1980. And they sold their house in Florida, and they found the land in Tennessee, and they had the architect, design the house, and they had construction workers to build it. But they were there every day, rolling up their sleeves and helping to build it. Like her husband was an amazing carpenter. And when I used to visit, I used to tell my mom and Jim, I said, Jim, this deck that you built, no one could build a deck like this. It's just amazing. It's a 3-layer, gorgeous deck. And he built it himself, not the construction workers, but he was out there rolling his sleeves and building the deck so they could sit out and enjoy the view of the forest. And that deck led out to a nice yard area for their dogs. And my mom, she did whatever work that she could. She told me, oh yeah, I was out there after the construction workers left. I had my broom and I was sweeping the debris, and every day they were there as the house was being built. And she loved that home, and they both put their heart and soul into that home, building it from the scratch. Just found the land and hired the construction workers, everything that it took that they built this, and it's just a beautiful home. Um, I won't go into the description of it, but it's just uh, beautifully designed, and uh, I just admire how the both of them didn't just say, okay, turn their back and let the construction workers do everything, and they did nothing. No, no, no. They were there every day, rolling up their sleeves, doing the work that they could do, along with the construction workers. And in the same way, Richard was doing the same thing. He, of course, had to hire people to build. He hired a guy that knew how to put the log cabin kit together. It comes in a kit, I call it that, but it's not just a kit. I mean, it's like, pretty heavy duty. That they bring all of these logs, real logs. This isn't fake logs. These were real logs. That's why it's called a log cabin. Like in Tennessee, they're building these cabins that are on the cheap, and I don't even think they're using real logs. It's just imitation or something, and they're just building these what I call cookie cutter homes there. And that's another big reason why I don't want to sell, because they're overdeveloping with these cookie cutter, ugly homes that have no style, no. I said to the real estate people, somebody at some time, when the time is right, they're going to appreciate this house because it's beautifully designed. It has a unique design in that it holds its value throughout the years. It's not dated. It has a modern style to it that you don't look at it and say, oh, that style, that was built back in 1982. When you look at my mom's house, you could say that it was built today. Because it has a style that is that's not dated, and I'm really happy about that. And the same thing is true with the log cabin. A log cabin is an original log cabin. You can't say, oh, a log cabin, that was, a 1980 house that was built, like, a stucco house or something. Like the house that we had in Florida, you could say, oh, that was built, you could tell by looking at it that it was built in 1970 something. Log cabin has a log cabin is a log cabin, and there's no date that you can say that it was built in such and such time. It has kind of an infinite style that never goes away, in time. So Richard ordered this particular style of the log cabin, and the logs came, and there was this guy, that's all he did was put together these log cabins, the log part of it. And then you had to hire other people to do all the rest. All his job was building all the logs to the cabin. And I was thinking about that, like how Richard was only like 34 years old, and here he is, starting out, having to figure out how do you build a log cabin and who do you find to do it, and he found the right guy. This is all the guy did, and I sort of remember him. He was kind of a hippie guy, and he put these logs together, and he would do, a certain amount a year and make just enough money, and then he would go and, different places and enjoy his life, like surf or whatever it was he was doing. But that was his business, where he would put these logs together, for a log cabin home, and then he'd make just a certain amount of money, and he would be able to go on and enjoy his life off of whatever he made. So this guy, he did all the logs, and then Richard had a friend, Kirk. That's another story. Kirk, he was a friend of Richard's going way back, and Kirk knew how to do construction and carpentry. He was an amazing carpenter, amazing and very creative. And he came in and he designed the inside, the interior of the cabin. And some of the things that he came up with, even Richard and I, over the years, we would just all of a sudden stop and say, look at, as crazy as Kirk was, and he was a bit crazy, we would always admire the work that he did in that home, and we would stop and say, look how he laid out, it was, the redwood inside with a design that, with the wood that was so creative. It's hard to explain because I'd have to take a picture of it to show you. But he had Kirk working on the inside, and then he had to kind of fight with people about making sure that we had huge picture windows, because the kit came with these little small windows. And if he had stuck to the original plan, it would be very, very dark in there. And plus, you wouldn't be able to get the gorgeous view that you're looking at right now of the valley. So he had to kind of fight with something, like a lot of people, you can't do that, but Richard was always thinking out of the box. He never did everything in the conventional way. And same thing with the fireplace. A good friend of his, Mike Gray, who was a long-time friend. He had problems with Mike. It's another guy, but he was very good friends with him. Childhood friend, back when they were very young. They lived close to each other, and I was thinking a lot about Mike and his wife, Susan Gray. Susan Gray became a lawyer because she was inspired by Richard. That's a whole different story. But anyway, I'm rambling on here, but I wanted to get a point across that someone said, oh, you got to put in like a pot oven fireplace, which is nice in a small home. That works in a small home. But Mike Gray said, are you kidding me? This is a log cabin, man. You got to go with a big fireplace. And sure enough, we got this big fireplace, all brick, real brick, not phony brick, all brick. And you can't get a fireplace like that anymore. We got lucky. It's got grandfathered in, but in the state of California, you're not allowed to build a fireplace like that. And it's safe. I mean, there's nothing dangerous about it. It's just, California with their stupid rules. But I was thinking how he went through all of this step by step by step when he was building this log cabin at such a young age. And, I didn't realize the work that was involved, because at that time I was trying to get my bachelor's degree down at the University of California, Santa Barbara. So I was commuting down there, and I was living down there in the dorm, and I would come up, as often as I could. So I didn't really have as much appreciation as I do now of the work that was involved, because I wasn't even hardly here at that time. But what am I leading up to? I'm kind of thinking that when I look at all of this, when I look at Richard's cabin, when I look at the land, just like my mom's house, I say to myself, It's not, it's my mom's house. It will, okay, I own it, but it will always be my mom's home, and I always refer to it as my mom's house. And that's how I feel about everything that Richard did here. It's not like Richard was possessive. It's not like, this is all mine. He never, it wasn't like that. It's just that out of respect, I look at the cabin and I don't like to, I just feel uncomfortable saying, it's mine now, now that he passed away, it's all mine. No, it will always be Richard's. It's Richard's dream house. It's his dream home that he built. And I will always refer to it as Richard's cabin. And, but if you go a little bit higher than that on a spiritual level, the fact of the matter is, nothing really belongs to us. In the end, Richard can tell you this from the other side, that you can't take it with you, and therefore, we're here temporarily, and yes, there's the ownership and all of that, but from a spiritual perspective, nothing really does belong to us, and we belong to nothing here. And when you really grasp that idea very deeply, it's freedom. It's an idea that allows you to understand you're not tied to anything, because nothing belongs to you and you belong to nothing. And in the end, it's a kind of liberation from any attachments, any kind of idea of ownership. And I'm not one to think of this concept, nothing belongs to you and you belong to nothing, as a form of communism. I think communism is horrible. And the Democrats that want to move in that direction, it has never worked. And it has always led to millions and millions of people that have been tortured and killed under communist regimes. And that's not what I mean. I mean that from a spiritual perspective, you really don't own anything. And when you really think about that deeply, that you do not own anything and nothing belongs to you, it's a form of spiritual detachment. It's kind of like having a meditative perspective of being free from any kind of attachments. Now, that doesn't mean that what was passed on from Richard, I believe I have a responsibility, and so does his son, to take really good care of everything that Richard built with his hands, so to speak, metaphorically, with this ranch. I believe that we have a responsibility to make sure that the horses are fed. The other day, we're down to just 3 horses now, and I don't know what happened to poor Spring. I know she died, and she must have died when I was not here, when I was out of state, and I don't know where she died. I've got to go down and start looking around and try to see where she might have died. Okay, what do you want, Schmickles? There's Schmickles. He always wants to get in the video. Every time I make a video, he says, I gotta get in the video. What is it, Schmickles? What do you want? Okay. But, I don't know, that poor horse. I don't. And what's sad is, I think she died the same time that Richard died. And God bless her. Maybe she went up to heaven with Richard. Because I believe Richard is with all of our animals, all of our horses, all of the dogs, including his childhood dog, Laddie. So, anyway, I believe that we have a responsibility to take care of things. And I went to Limos the other day to get oats for the 3 horses, because I was getting the message from Richard, we're getting into winter, go to Limos, get some oats for the horses, which I did. And I when they come up, I feed them their oats. And I got really upset with he's a good guy. He must have not meant it, but one of the tenants, Schmickles, one of the tenants left the gate open on the other side. And my God, if those horses had gone out and run out in the road and killed someone. So what I'm getting at is there's a responsibility here on the ranch. And, Richard's son is going to have to, come to terms with this, because I'm doing the best I can. He's with his mom. I'm glad he needed probably to get away, and I'm hoping that he's having some reflection time on realizing that, he can't blame me for being upset at him. If the shoe were on the other foot, and if I did to him what he did to me, he would know why I have every right to be upset with him. But the thing is, Richard wanted us to work things out together. That was his wish, and he expressed it even in his will. Schmickles, what do you have to say? Huh? What's going on? I don't know what he wants. He wants some attention of some sort. I don't know. Anyway, maybe Richard's speaking through Schmickles. What are you looking at, Schmickles? All right, but anyway, the point is, it really is a shame the way this whole thing, it got off on a horrible, horrible start. After, my heart being just crushed, and I'm still in a state of shock. Every day I think he can't be gone. He really can't be gone. And I get this sad feeling like, no, he's going to come back. He will come back. And I know that he can't come back in his physical body anymore. But I do try to respect his wishes. And I wish that while his son is away, I wish that he would reflect on the wrongs that he did to me, to his father, what he did during that 3 weeks, his intentions of wanting to rip up the will so there wouldn't be a will. I wish that he could just, really get some perspective and try to respect what his father wanted, because I can't do this all on my own. I need him to help. I need him to help me to be responsible for his father's ranch. And I'm just hoping that somehow this will all get resolved, and that he'll come around and stop being so mean and cruel and selfish, and just think about what his father wanted for the both of us. So that is, what I was trying to kind of think and reflect on, that message, along with the idea that in the end, nothing really belongs to us, and we belong to nothing. And when you really deeply understand that, you start to care for things and be responsible for things, not in terms of being attached to them, but having a love for them, being responsible, but also having a sense of detachment. So that's my little, I don't know what you would call it, chat. That's my little chat with everyone, whoever wants to listen, that I just wanted to pass on. Okay, thank you for listening.